Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to Dr. Zainab Lokhandwala, Dr. Mita Doshi, and our wonderful audience to the sixth pillar of positivity in a pandemic entitled Elderly Welfare Handle with Care. This topic strikes a really deep chord right inside of me as I have taken care of both my late father-in-law and my father over the last couple of years on in our pillars of positivity on elderly welfare handled with care. Our topic today touches a very deep chord. Having taken care of my father and my father-in-law over the last several years, I've played the dual role of clinician and caregiver for them. And I really feel blessed to be given this amazing opportunity to serve those who have been our lifelong pillars when we needed them. I think one of the most important ingredients in elderly care is love. Love for the one you are caring for, as well as love for yourself as you go about it. If we pour a ton of love and sprinkle it with patience and compassion, I assure you, you will be able to handle any challenge while caring for your loved one. Another equally important ingredient is time. It's what anyone craves for, and more so those who are in the twilight of their own lives. While we are busy grappling with this pandemic, I think it's really reminding us that time is a really precious commodity. We have to use it wisely. So if you are thinking of giving back to the very loved ones who nurtured you, molded you, and to who you owe your very existence, do it now. Don't think twice. Whether now or before the pandemic started, I think we all feel a lack of being physically close to our loved one to care for them. I, for one, really feel awful. I can't be physically close to my dad and take care of him. And it's part of every conversation, every call that we have, and really burns my heart. So, for all of us practicing remote elder care, let's face COVID with all its limitations, with all that we have. Let's call them frequently, maybe video chat them, add in other family members, have little Zoom parties, sing with them, joke with them, or even maybe order in some of their goodies that they love, a little surprise through Amazon, just to remove the mundane existence that they're probably living all by themselves. We just had a Zoom party for one of my uncles, and my dad just can't stop talking about it or being grateful for it for adding that sparkle on that day. And so, with the confluence of prana and elder care, I have come to speak to several donors and recipient families and realize that they too, the minute the patient comes home, they are swamped with the challenge of taking care without the help of a nurse or a caregiver. But it's been absolutely amazing to watch family, friends, or remote video calls with doctors all pull them together and face this challenge. So I guess another lesson from this pandemic is that we have to be here for one another. Whether it is a friend in need, a family in need, an elder in need, we really have to pull our chain of connections together and come forward for each other. And that's how prana was born, from a need to fill the hearts and bodies of those suffering from COVID-19, struggling in hospitals, with hope and healing, from another patient suffering from COVID but who has recovered. Yesterday, and you can see from the banner above that Riddhi has so beautifully made, was extremely special for Prana. We were waiting in anxious expectation for the 100th bag of donation to happen. And lo and behold, at the same time, we had two selfless, admirable donors in Bangalore come forward and donate together. Rajesh, Dr. Shrikant, our deepest gratitude. We have no words to say thank you to you, as well as to all of our donors and our Prana family, which got us here. Very, very deeply grateful. You are all an inspiration to us. Remember, a donor doesn't know which two lives he or she is saving with their plasma. And I think that is such a beautiful way and special way of giving back in these times when you don't even know whose life you are saving. So a little technical details on what is plasma. It is the fluid part of our blood which contains these little magic bullets called antibodies, which someone who has recovered from COVID-19 carries in them. And when we harvest this plasma, we give it to someone who's struggling and who is not as fortunate as them. Not everyone can donate plasma. At Prana, we would prefer patients recovered from COVID in the age group of 18 to 55, preferably male, and who are 28 days post recovery of all their symptoms. Finally, the cut is made with blood tests at a blood bank, and you can donate every 15 days if your screening tests are good, and your plasma can be frozen up to 1 year and still be useful to science. So every patient recovered from COVID-19 has the power inside them to heal another one. And I think that is the most beautiful gift of life that anyone can give another. We have this week had, and part of one of our 100th bags, a donor donate for the 5th time, just so totally selflessly and admirably. And the past week, several of them have donated for the 4th time. Again, incredibly grateful to all of them. They assure you that it's safe, it's pain-free, it's a comfortable procedure, and you have nothing to be scared about. So do talk about plasma donation to all your family and friends. Encourage them to come forward and register as a donor on our Prana website. We also take recipient registrations on our website, pranapanindia.com, to help your loved one get plasma and recover. I know you are all eagerly waiting for Dr. Zainab's talk, and so am I. She specializes in geriatric psychiatry and is based in Pune. She emphasizes that knowledge is power and that you must know a little bit about your elderly one's disease process as you take care of them. She will also highlight challenges that this pandemic has specially created in elderly care and pay special attention to dementia and depression in the elderly. She will also empower us as caregivers with ways that we can care for ourselves. So over to you, Dr. Zainab, and a warm welcome from all of us.
Good evening, everybody. I'm audible?
Yes.
So, said this little boy that sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. And the old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man. Good evening, everybody. I'm Dr. Zainab, and I'm a consultant psychiatrist interested in geriatrics. So it really makes me wonder. We have Dr. Mita also with us here today. She also is a psychiatrist. So I'm sure it must be making you wonder that as well, that how come we have so many books and books and books on parenting? How come we have so many expensive coaching and seminars and webinars on parenting? Because we know that those delicate little creatures, they have a different biology, their bodies are different, they are growing up, they have a different psychological framework. But so do these people also. Then how come we don't have any books, or say a lot of books on caretaking of these senior citizens? How come, at least in India, we are so less people who are actually practicing just solely as geriatric physicians? I hope that this is the beginning of that moment wherein we sensitize people towards this segment also. So aging. With aging, there are associated biological changes, meaning changes in your physical body. There are psychological changes, and all this there's a very important cog, that is the social and the socio-cultural background that we belong to. So let us see aging in context of these three. Before we start, uh, most of you here, if I were to tell you, okay, there is this old man, so what would you imagine? Would you like imagine somebody lying on the bed, needing help and little sad and needing help with his food and changing clothes and everything? Well, if 50% of you imagined this, then the remaining 50% of you, did you all imagine a Superman granddad or a Superman grandmom? Well, I did. Like my very father-in-law, who is more than 75 years old now, but every morning he wears his mask and makes sure to go to the shop. And till date, he is the one who can roll up the shutter and roll it down. So I think that's great. Then what are we talking about? Then when we say elderly care, who are we looking at? And most importantly, how old is old? To call it seniors or elders. Like there was this very famous song which says, Abhi to main jawan hu. So when does one stop singing that? If we open any book wherein they are talking about the geriatric population, they say 65 and above is old, 75 and above is old, and 85 and above is very old. But these are, frankly, very technical considerations, because we don't know. Like I said, this entire comparison, wherein at 75, there might be some people who have really become dependent even for their activities of daily living. Whereas on the other spectrum, we might have these, energetic males who still are very active in their lives. In today's lecture, although I'm going to focus more or less on this population that needs assistance, but in general, I think it applies to the entire elderly population. So let's begin with knowing about the basic biological, psychological changes, and all this in the background of the socio-cultural framework. So as one ages, the vulnerability increases and the vitality decreases, both biologically and psychologically. So what do I mean by this? That let's take when we talk about biological systems, let's take the sensory system. So our vision, our hearing, all the this starts to diminish. The sensation of taste diminish. So all the sensory modalities. Because of this, there is an increased vulnerability to falls, to accidents. The strength of our bones decreases. We are more prone for osteoporosis. And hence, there is more vulnerability that even a single fall will cause fracture. our other body systems like the cardiovascular system, the respiratory system, even all these systems, the vitality, the functional capacity of these systems starts to reduce as we age. And hence, we see more of chronic and acute illnesses in the elderly population. The immune system, the response of the immune system, as we must be knowing very much about it right now in this pandemic, the response of the immune system starts to diminish, and hence the elderly are more prone for infection. And as with every organ, even with the brain, the functioning of the brain starts to diminish, and hence we see a lot of problems, especially like Parkinson's, or we talk of dementias and other neurological issues. Psychosocial context and aging. Now, the most important thing that occurs here, and especially when as we see our generation growing up, is that we are moving out. Most of us are moving out for career options, relate better career options, maybe outside the country or outside our own city, right? So that leaves our parents all by themselves. How many of us actually sit and discuss this? Because our priority at that point of time is career and finance, and we just think that we should inform our parents about it rather than actually discuss about it. So this is one very important thing that makes the elderly population to feel lonely, to have issues like depression. Second is retirement. In old age, once after a certain limit, they tend to stop working. Now, once you're at work, you socialize. If you're doing good work, then you get a good feedback. It gives a boost to your self-esteem. Now, suddenly, all this stops. They don't meet their work colleagues. They are not getting any positive, like productive time in which they work, and then they get a positive feedback about their work. So this suddenly stops, and they have the entire 24 hours to themselves. So what? There's that sudden emptiness, that sudden void. And there is loss of loved ones, be it friends, be it their spouse. So as this occurs, the elderly population tends to feel more of loneliness, low mood, sadness. This thing starts creeping in that, oh my God, now I'm starting to get dependent. I'm starting to get, for simple things like walking up to the room, I need a walker. To hear properly, I need my hearing aid. Hands start to tremble. So even day-to-day activities like eating food, drinking milk becomes difficult for them. So this thing strikes very hard that now even for activities of my daily living, small simple things, I am gradually getting dependent on somebody else. And in a very technical psychological language, they say that people in this age face this inner conflict of integrity versus despair, meaning they have an entire review of their life. They think of moments wherein things could have been better. They get this feeling that, have I lived my life well? So these kind of conflicts start to begin in their mind and in their head. Now imagine this aging body with so many things happening in the social and in the environment, and hence so many things happening internally. So definitely we need to consider caregiving with a lot of love, and we really need to treat them very delicately. So let's now talk about caregiving. So if you are a caregiver, you have a toolkit. And what are your tools? One very important, see, most of the slides from now on are definitely reference materials from books, but more of practical, I'll say practical feedbacks from being with the patient for the past 4 or 5 years. So then, what is our what are the tools which will help us in caregiving for these elderly? What I have realized that in elderly caregiving, it is small steps that matter. Small things really make a big difference. So then it's a drop of difference. And what do you mean? What do I mean by a drop is A for attitude, D for doctor, R for right information, O for organization, P for planning, preparedness, and persistence. So here we are talking about caregiving, and in that we are talking about our attitudes. The first most important thing here is acceptance. What do we have to accept? We have to accept that there are certain changes that are going to occur as aging happens. So initially, if I were to go on my bike and tell, Papa, come on, jaldi aa jao, let's go. I mean, it's just 5 minutes now left. Papa would come running. But now, Papa is going to take 10 minutes to reach the bike so that we can go. Acceptance of the situation. In elderly, as we see many a times, there are sudden medical events that occur. For example, if somebody was to be diagnosed as uh, somebody just started showing memory loss, then our immediate concerns would be, oh my God, are we heading towards dementia? Now what? But then the thing is that accept it. Okay, there is memory loss. Then what is the next step? Maybe you should go to a doctor. Maybe let us evaluate if there is deficiency of any vitamins, if there is any thyroid issue, which is causing this memory loss. And then take a realistic evaluation of the situation and then take the next step. Accepting the situation at hand also helps us to know and to properly plan depending upon what are the available resources I have to deal with this situation, what are the emotional challenges, like what am I feeling at this point of time. I'm absolutely anxious that my parent has been diagnosed so and so. So then the bottom line is accepting the situation for what it is so that we can realistically evaluate it. Now, we often say, often whenever we meet the caregivers, or even for that matter, me or you, we would say that it's so tough, yeah. I mean, now they say that whatever self-talk we have, whatever words we are using, they definitely affect our attitudes and our behavior. So try saying this every time you meet your friend and you say, it's so tough dealing with mummy, yaar. Try saying this, that it's very challenging. Because when we use the word tough, it just brings like, oh my God, there's this huge mountain and I have to go and scale it. Whereas when you say the word challenging, what comes to your mind is that, wow, there's this race I need to run. So you get that adrenaline rush. So try to use the correct or little less severe words. Practice patience. Very, very important when dealing with the geriatric population. We need to practice, consciously practice patience. And these are, I mean, we know that we all belong to the hari bari kari kind of population, and we don't really have time for anything. Like even for, we can't wait for a 50-over match. We need to watch that, just the 20 overs and decide who wins. So we want it quick, we want it fast. But with the geriatric population, not possible. So breathe, practice patience, consciously practice, and it comes. And like I said, that in geriatric care, it's small things. But I'll tell you what, in fact, it's not even small. It's tiny tasks that you consciously do every day that are going to build up and make that huge difference. And most importantly, remember that taking care of an elderly is not a sprint, it's not a race, it's a marathon. हमें लंबा भागना है. So plan properly. Generally, what happens is that with the elderly, initially we are very enthusiastic that no, I am going to be there for my parent. I am going to do this. And then we just try to do everything possible, stay awake at night, physically assist them, mentally, emotionally assist them, financially assist them. And gradually we start burning out. So it's not that it's going to end in a few days and I have to put my entire energy now and just tide over this. It's about running longer. It's about the marathon. So plan it properly. The second very, very important thing in our toolkit is a doctor. Now, what do I mean by this? Uh, initially, and I mean nowadays, if you see that even if we have a little cough, cold, or a problem with our nose, we directly tend to go to the specialist. But I remember when I was growing up, we had a family doctor. So no matter what, even if I had some problem related to my menses, or if I had any problem related to my eyes, or even if I had any problem related to my limbs, my mother would first take me to our family doctor and ask him for advice. That what do we do? Do we wait? Are you giving us the medicines? Are you referring us to the specialist? The family doctor knew everything about our family structure. Many a times he was invited to our place whenever there was a happy occasion. Whenever there was somebody severely ill, he did make home visits for that particular person. So he knew us. He knew us he knew us socially, he knew the psychology of everybody staying in the house, he knew us financially, he knew us. But these days, if you see that, we hardly have this concept of family doctors. We directly want to rush to the specialist. But I'll tell you what, if we are looking at a geriatric patient, then it is this person, the family doctor, who is of a huge, huge, huge help. Why? Number one, because he knows the entire detailed history of what is happening to the patient and what has happened ever since. So during a time of crisis or emergency, he is the one who can intervene correctly. He is the one who can update the specialist. Secondly, when it comes to important issues like advance directives, institutional care, taking a caregiver for help, or writing a will, if these topics are breached by the siblings, or if these topics are breached by your children or your wife, then the patient just can't stand it. They tend to get irritated. But if these topics are brought into focus by the family doctor, they are really considered in a very different purview. So, for all of you taking care of your elderly at home, make sure that you have one doctor who, who need not be a specialist, who's just a general physician or a family physician. They may not be even an MBBS doctor, even homeopaths or Ayurvedic practitioners, but they know the entire history. It is very important to rope in these kind of doctors whenever we are looking at elderly patients. Because in times of crisis, I'll tell you from personal experience, when my mother-in-law laws, when my grandmother-in-law was with us, we had a tough time to get somebody to do a home visit. And this is, I'm talking of non-COVID. In spite of me being a medical, I asked a lot of friends, but see, every specialist is so busy nowadays. But then who reaches out at these points is your local family doctor. So very, very important to keep this doctor in the loop. Yes, everybody has a right to information, but in this age of Google, I think we must make sure that we have the right information. So right information, like I said, knowledge is very, very crucial in taking care of the elders. And what do I mean by this? Number one, you need to know what is normal, what is a normal, what is expected at as aging occurs, and you need to know what is abnormal. When do you go and meet the doctor? So many a times we tend to dismiss that age के हिसाब से चिड़चिड़े हो गए हैं, but then sometimes it is this irritability or change in personality which acts as a clue that maybe might end up with illnesses like dementia. So you should know what is a normal variant and what's an abnormal variant. And how do you know that? By reading about the normal biology of aging. You should know about illnesses, very very important, and know it directly from the doctor. Like if the elderly at home is suffering from diabetes, hypertension, which are very very common ailments, then you ask the doctor that what is it that I need to know about it. Generally what happens is that you're going to open up the Google and you're going to do an entire research on hypertension and diabetes. In the process you're going to catch up on some information which is not all that essential, but you'll end up worrying and it serves no purpose. Instead, talk to it about the doctor. Then, doctor, what is it that I need to know about diabetes? What is it that can happen as an emergency? And at that point of time, how do I intervene? So talk to the doctor and learn about it. Most commonly diabetes, uh, hypertension, if there are any neurological problems like epilepsy and all, which can create emergencies, you must learn about it. Okay, now that we're talking about illnesses, let's do this quick game. uh, I'll be showing you the screen for say 30 seconds and then I'll be taking it off. So your time starts now. Okay. Okay, now the game is that try and write on a piece of paper that whatever you saw. Let us see how many things you remember out of whatever you saw. Okay.
Can I come in? Don't anything
Now,
from Benja.
now let's take a check. Someone's mic is on, I think. Now let's take a check as to how many things could you remember.
Barely
Now,
two.
okay. Now, why did I do this exercise with you? So you remember, I think Dr. Mita would agree with me. There was a point about, or I think we are still in that phase, wherein every active child and the mother wants to seek an intervention that no, my child has attention deficit and no, my child has hyperactivity and please certify. But come on, it's normal. It's a normal naughty child. So similarly, here we see that a slight bit of forgetfulness, and you'll have the patient there that, oh my God, am I heading into dementia? But listen to this. How many of y'all forget the mobile? Where have I kept my mobile? So like my husband is irritated with this, that 10 times in a day I'll tell him, missed call, just give me a missed call. I don't know where I forgot my mobile. How many of us keep wondering, oh my God, did I switch off the gas? Did I switch off the fan? How many of us keep wondering that, oh my God, did I lock the door properly? Where did I keep my car keys? Oh my God, where's my specs? So many of us. So we are forgetting. So then are we getting dementia? No. Here again, we come back to right knowledge. So dementia is not plain memory loss. I mean, it's not just memory loss. When we talk of dementia, it's a complete brain function that's getting affected. And brain is just not about memory and intelligence. It's also about motor functions. It's also about sensory functions. So when we talk of dementia, there are other things that occur along with it. So if you're really on an alert that I need to look out for any signs of dementia in my uh, elderly, then it's not just memory. It's also about, they have this deterioration in their language function, they have impaired motor skills, they cannot name objects, and the ability to plan something gets affected. So this is what I meant by right information. And you can only get this by talking to the right person, which is your doctor. And in elderly care, we cannot overlook medication. So, first of all, let me talk about this little story that my friend's mother-in-law suddenly started getting sleepless after their neighbors left. So initially she thought that, okay, maybe she was very friendly with that auntie and now that she's gone away, she's missing her and she's not sleeping. But she wouldn't sleep 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then we decided to talk to her. And guess what we found out? That the auntie was sharing her sleeping pills. Very, very common in our culture. अरे मुझे डॉक्टर ने ये गोली दी है, तुम भी ट्राई करो, बहुत अच्छी नींद आ जाती है. अरे घुटन में दर्द कर रहा है, डोंट वरी, ये गोली लो, इससे बिल्कुल आराम पहुंच जाएगा. So then friendly prescriptions, going to the chemist and saying, अरे सर्दी के लिए कुछ दे दो ना यार, नींद नहीं आती है, कुछ दे दो ना यार. And this is how people end up getting hooked on mainly to benzodiazepines. But it's not just about benzodiazepines, it's many other such friendly prescription for small things like aches and pains, which are made by friends of the elderly. So you should really be on a watch out for this. And then, have you ever, my mother has this treasure trove of medicines, and I'm sure that if you go and talk to the elderly at your house, you're going to land up discovering this. They will have medications which they have stored. Like if the doctor has prescribed for 5 days and they get better in 4, then they put those 2 pills in a cover, labeling it as julab ki goli, and then iski goli and uski goli, and then next time somebody in the house has it, they'll very proudly remove it and say, "Are ye kha lo, isse farak pad jayega." So please, I think we must really take a check that if there is such a khazana lying with our elders, and we must really take it away from them, because it's definitely dangerous. We don't even know when the medicines expire, and we really don't know what was the condition for which it was prescribed. Polypharmacy, very, very common in the elderly, because they have multiple issues. They, like, a person might have hypertension, he might have had a stroke earlier. So medicines are going on. There are lots of medicines which might be going on for an elderly. So you must be very vigilant about what they are taking. And as far as possible, we should have supervised medication. So how can we do that? You can request your doctor to ideally space the medicines twice a day, morning and night, so that you are available, you hand the medicines to the patient and to the elderly, and they take it in front of you. If this is not possible, we usually, because we are so busy, we tend to fill that entire weekly box and put it near their bedside. But it's not safe, believe me, because many a times they start doubting, ye dabbi khali to hai, but did I really take it? There are many people who are elderly who don't believe in medications. They just feel we don't need them. They just feel इनके बहुत side effects हो जाएंगे. So for all you know, that you've kept it there, you find the box is empty, but they might be throwing it away. So ideally prefer supervised medications. If not possible, then don't fill the entire week box. Fill it only for the day. Keep a check on the medicines. Have reminders in the mobile for them, so that it tells them that, okay, it's time for your medication. And always consult, even for a slight bit of things, because in the elderly the picture is quite mixed. Like, I'll tell you simple thing like loss of appetite, and you might just feel कि शायद उदास है. Definitely loss of appetite is a very important symptom of dementia, but same loss of appetite is also an important symptom of major illnesses like malignancies. So you never know. So always consult and always report. So again, here you cannot go for small things to report to the specialist, but here it's the friendly doctor, the friendly family physician who will come to help. So in case, like in children, how they calculate the dosages per kg body weight, it's so precise. It's similarly in the adults. We usually tend to give them low dosages. We start with low dosages, gradually increase, and keep a watch for side effects. So please be very careful, and by yourself, do not prescribe to the elderly. Very important. organize. So here, when I have a elderly case entering my cabin, I'm actually in my heart telling, okay, abhi wo moment aega, abhi wo moment aega. And then the moment comes where there go two or three polythenes on the table. Doctor, ye inka medical history hai. And I am left with removing files from every bag, going through each file. Oh my God, surprise, there is a medical bill here. Oh my God, surprise, aapki bahu ke delivery ka medical bill. Oh, in your file. And there is a hemoglobin report years back, which holds no relevance now. So please, take this as a homework for all of y'all who are hearing this today. Please, and with permission, of course, go to your parents or to the elderly, and if there is absolutely no cognitive issue with them, sit with them. If you want, you can include your child also in this whole exercise. It's going to take at least a day or two. Get out the entire medical records, and task is to arrange and organize the medical files. So what do I mean by that, and why are we doing this? So number one, on the file cover itself, write down the chronic conditions that they are having, like say Mrs. XYZ, 67-year-old female, hypertension, diabetes. Write down past history of, say, hysterectomy, like surgery for the removal of the uterus in this particular year. Write down any known allergies. Okay, this comes on the top of the file, so that next time you visit a specialist for some reason, they just have to read that paper. And if they need to further see that, okay, I really need to look out into what happened in this stroke, they might open the file and get it out. Please don't mix the pills with the papers, because what happens is that if the doctor keeps scanning, then they get disinterested and they might miss out an important report. Keep the reports separate, keep the discharge summaries separate, and inside the file, have a list of doctors and their contacts. So the topmost panel will be the family physician with his contact number. Second would be, say, somebody who is taking care of the diabetes. Third would be, in case of emergency, which hospital and that number comes right inside the file. You may also keep the insurance and the other details handy in this main file itself. Have the hard copy, but also have two digital copies with two different people so that they are handy. And please declutter. Get rid of those X-ray reports or the hemoglobin reports, which are no longer valid and have no meaning anymore. So please, all of you, do this homework. I'm sure it's going to be fun. Any which ways, we're not working full-time off late. Coming to the drop and the P. Plan and prepare. So the first most important thing is have a realistic plan. Don't make promises that you cannot keep. Like saying things that, I will be there for mama anytime that she needs me. Keep it realistic. Know it very well, the number of hours that you can devote for caregiving. What do you need to consider? Can you imagine in a routine day, how is your morning like? Or if I were to tell you, so I get up at 7, I'm doing the breakfast, I'm doing the dabbas, my daughter's getting ready for school, my husband is getting ready for office, and then there's suddenly the bike comes in and there's too many things happening, right? And I know I need to leave home at this time to reach in time for the first appointment. Now in all this, I cannot go hurriedly to take care of my elderly and say, chalo fatafat, nahane chalo, come on, let's go to have a bath. Okay, you take a bath, and then quickly I just give her the clothes, and it can't happen. Because someday I go there and she says, I don't want to take a bath. So it might take me 5 minutes to convince her that, okay, at least brush your teeth. And then another 10 minutes for her to walk from the bed to the bathroom. And then another 10 minutes, and then another 10 minutes. So do I have that much time realistically in the morning? If no, then what do? I hire help. Now, again, when hiring help for elderly, two or three very important points I'll tell you. Number one is that you need to train the help that you are hiring, or you may ask from the bureau people who are specially trained to handle geriatric population. Second is that if there is a help for the elderly at home, you must always take her along with the patient to the doctor, because many a times it happens that they are the ones who notice small but significant and important things which they can tell the doctor. So training of the help, and train yourself also. Now you might wonder, training about what? So in elderly care, there is a lot of things that go. Number one is the nutrition. You need to know, because like I said, that the taste is affected, but that doesn't mean that you give them bland food, right? Plus they have issues with acidity, constipation. So what kind of food? Training also for moving the patient. It is extremely important, because you want to avoid falls, you want to avoid fractures. Training for dressing of bed sores, training for simple things like taking blood pressure, how to check the sugars with the glucometer. These are the things that you will have to invest time and train yourself if you want to take care of the elderly at home. And be open to having help. Most of us have a huge block. There are definitely financial considerations. If you're ordering from some help from the bureau, then it comes out to be very expensive. And like I said, that we're not looking out for a day or two, we're looking out for long term. So then might as well have somebody and train them and then keep them. In the pandemic, usually we advise, because this is where we face that we couldn't call in the maids, and we had to do all this, and most of us even were struggling for simple things like, okay, how to lift them, how to manage the bathroom, and how to manage the bathing, because we never thought about it. So you also have to be trained, and you must train the helper also. And very important, have a backup plan. That what if someday I am unwell? What if I get a fracture and I am unable to move? Who's going to take care? So this is preparedness. So be prepared for the day. What if I am having an emotionally bad day, and I just don't want to enter her room because she's going to be grumpy and I'm not going to have patience? So what about that day? What about days wherein financially I might feel drained down? So all this preparedness will be the second step after you accept the situation at hand. And hum saath saath hai. Very, very important. This is something that I always uh, tell my caretakers, that don't make it an event about main karungi. It is about all of you, the entire family, all of your siblings. Even if you all have had even if you all don't bond well, or even if you all have had fights in the past and you're like, I am not going to ever ask her for help, but no, it's their parent too. And definitely in caregiving of an elderly, it's a joint effort. So always have a family meeting. This is very important, and I want you all to hear me carefully. So when do you have this family meeting? For what do you have this family meeting? You don't have this family meeting when there is a time of crisis, when mama has suddenly fallen and we need to shift her to the hospital, and then you're calling your siblings that tum bhi aao and help me out. No, because during times of crisis, either people want to overtly help or they want to hide. You have these meetings when there is no crisis, when your flight or fight mode is not active, when you are thinking right, so that you can talk about distribution of duties, financial management. Where does mama stay? Do we change? Again, one very important thing, like I said, that in these days, all of us are busy with our lives. So many a times people tend to make this arrangement wherein the parent is staying for 6 months with one child and 6 months with the other. Fair enough. But then in patients who are having problems like dementia, sometimes this can turn a little uncomfortable because they're already having issues with, knowing what is where. And if you keep changing their environment, then the irritability and behavioral problems tend to increase. So all this needs to be discussed beforehand between siblings, between important relatives, not during the time of crisis. And always remember that you all are in this together. It's not that main karunga, or you have wronged me, or you have wronged mama in the past, so now don't come in. No, think about it. So very quickly, we'll just go through an elder-friendly home. So like I said, we have to be very careful about preventing falls, because small things, like I said, fall and then you might end up with a fracture, and then you might end up with a bedridden patient. So again, inviting a bigger problem. So how do we do that? Number one, minimal clutter. There is no need to decorate the room with artifacts, because there is diminution of vision when they, and there is increased urinary frequency at night. So when they are, it is quite possible that when they are trying to go to the bathroom, they might dash against something and hurt themselves. Uh, Let the floors have anti-skid mats. Keep handrails at intervals. Sharp edges of the table, of the cupboards. You can pad them with things as simple as thermocol. Make sure there's good illumination and natural light too. And if they're having canes, you can have wrist loops on the canes so that they don't keep falling off. Again, another small thing, footwear, especially if the patient has diabetes, and we know how dangerous a diabetic foot could be. So let it be comfortable, low heel, slip resistant, good cushioning, easy to wear and easy to remove. Very important, because if they are able to do it by themselves, they don't get this feeling that, oh my God, I've become dependent. Bathrooms. I think this is the place wherein maximum falls occur. Again, bathing, driving, these are the things which people really don't want to get dependent about. They will hate it if you say that, she's going to assist you in your bath. So encourage them to do it independently, but make sure that it is safe. So you can have anti-skid floors, you can have grab bars. The toilet seat could be elevated because they usually have knee joint problems. There could be handheld showers. Mark hot and cold with bright red and blue. Again, for two reasons, because of visual impairment, diminution of vision, and secondly, the skin is very fragile. So imagine that hot water getting onto the skin, and let there be proper illumination. Now, with the elderly caregivers, the more you talk, the more you learn. So last time I was talking about this. One of them gave me a very brilliant idea. Have you ever wondered, even with us, we are often struggling to get the soap bar because it tends to slip from where it is placed. So one of the guys just shared this very simple, like we say in India, we are all jugadus, a jugadu idea. Just put the bar in a sock and tie it to the to a rail or something close by. So they can just pull it and apply it on their body and it goes back in place. So there is no fear that it might slip and go near the edge. It's a very, very handy trick. And with bathing, again, don't struggle too much. If it's winters, and it's okay that today if she doesn't want to take a bath, just let it be. Very important, maintain dignity if you are bathing your elder one. Have flexible approach with grooming. Involve them. Now, this is mainly, with people who have cognitive impairments. So involve them in deciding that, okay, today which clothes you want to wear. Just put 2 or 3 clothes on the bed and let them make a choice. This just makes them feel happy. Give simple instructions. Use the fabric very carefully. Again, while eating, it is advisable to use bright cutlery so that they can see the difference. Don't have a clutter of things on the plate. Let the dining area be well lit. Let there not be too much of sound, noise, too many people moving about, because if they're eating, let them just concentrate on eating. Let there be minimal distraction. And if possible, let there be some nice, relaxing music playing in the background. This is a very important slide on communicating with the elders. Dr. Maria, please tell me if we are exceeding my time limit, then I'll cut off. So communication with the elderly, what we need to remember. Again, be patient. First and foremost, the hearing ability has reduced. Secondly, whether or not there is dementia, there is a little struggle with finding the right word to put across the idea. So you have to be patient when you are communicating with a senior. Listen attentively. They understand with your body language, with your posture, that whether or not you are listening to them. Speak clearly. And please understand the difference between being audible and being loud here. Don't scream at them. You have to be audible to them. And I'm very grateful to this psychiatry teacher of mine, because whenever we went on rounds for geriatric patient, I used to very funnily do this. Kaku, kashe ahat. And then, Kaku, kashe ahat. Came in the teacher and he told me that get your stethoscope out. Very simple. He put the stethoscope in her ears, gave me the diaphragm and said, speak here. It was so simple. The communication became so easy. So if there is a hearing aid, put the hearing aid and then talk to the patient. Don't scream. Try to be audible. They will take time to respond. Give them that time. And be aware of the fact that there is a lot of non-verbal communication which they can pick up. Now, very important, communicating important issues. What do I mean by important issues? Like, Papa, you need to stop driving. Mama, we need to keep somebody to help you with your bath. Papa, I think you should write your will. Mama, we need to go for a vacation for a month and I think you need to stay at the old age home. Important issues, but how do we talk about it? Very, very important. Like I said, number one to your rescue could be your family doctor. If no, then most important point, if you decide to talk about it, then pehle to mahol dekh ke, like if things are good, then you might decide to talk about that topic today. Secondly, in your talk, don't come across as opinionated, meaning that if your parents don't have any cognitive disability, they have the full right to decide how they want to live. So then you don't force your opinion on them that this is how it is going to be. So you don't come across as you have already made up your mind and you're informing them. Secondly, you might want to rehearse how you're going to say it. And always be prepared for a negative. That पहली बार में तो वो नहीं ही सुनने वाले हैं. Have that in your head, so that if they say no, you don't sit there and keep arguing over it with them. Wait for another chance. We'll discuss it later. And be mindful of what you are talking. Again, one very simple tip. They say that when you're communicating something important, don't begin with you. Or don't get very confrontational that you cannot drive anymore. Try to begin with I. I have started to get worried a little bit off lately about this entire traffic and all. We have, this Uber started very good discount options, yeah. So practice how you're going to put across that important issue. And be prepared that There might be a negative answer, but we'll come back on another day. Very important. Don't forget to do little stimulation tasks every day with the elders. Most importantly, physical exercise. Make sure that they move about. If we are talking of females, involve them in daily chores. This I have found very, very useful whenever I have advised this. I'll tell you what, if we look at our cultural background, if we think of my Nani Ma or my Dadi Ma, they had this thing in the evening wherein they would sit with the bhajis and they would pluck the leaves and they would talk to each other. So this was like an event. So involve them in that. That mama, today I'm making palak. Can you just get me the leaves? Or I'm making methi. Can you just get me the methi leaves so that I can cook? So what happens is they're using their hands. Make them sit in the sun. They get sun exposure. When it's not very bright and all, or it's not very hot. They get the sun exposure. They're doing something. They start thinking about their earlier memories doing this for. Another very simple thing, we Muslims, we call it the tasbih, and Christians, they have the rosary. So let them do that, because again, there's hope, there's faith when they do that. Plus there is some movement happening of the hands. So these are simple tasks. You don't need any investment to get these kind of things, but encourage it. Some days get out the old photographs, not too many, but just one or two. You will be surprised that even if there is a memory issue, their past memory is very well preserved. So they will start talking about that event, like if it's your birthday picture, even if one picture, and they will start talking about it. That अरे तुझे पता है उस दिन भी पापा लेट आए थे, फिर ये वाले आंटी ने तुमको ये गिफ्ट दिया था. And so that kind of stimulates not just the memory, but the emotions associated with that memory. And then it makes them feel happy, of course. Simple games, cards, chess, carol. Let your children play these kind of games with them. Encourage telephone calls. Ask them to call up any old friend or a distant relative. So these kind of things, these are the tiny tasks which you decide that, okay, today I will do this. I'll let mama make a phone call to this. I'll find out the number of this school friend of hers and we're going to connect. This is now, the next slide is something by personal experience, no research on that. So I feel that elderly better connect to, the chitti aayi hai kind of thing, because they were used to writing letters. So one of the old age homes that I visit, the caretaker over there told me that the relatives are during this pandemic, they're doing video calls, but then the elderly are getting very confused. Like, the whole video thing, and they're talking from there. And you remember the days when we had to book trunk calls. We would be like, we would actually, unconsciously start talking loudly. Ha, kaise hai mama ji? So they start doing that, and they don't understand this whole thing of seeing them on the video. So fine, once in a while that's good because they get to see each other. But imagine if they write letters, I think the connectivity is more. This is absolutely my opinion. I have not read it anywhere, but we did this at the old age home. And second thing, which I am still trying to get, you can say roll the ball, is that with aging, the speed and the visual processing decreases. So I just thought of this thing during the lockdown, that when we are thinking of activities for the elderly, how about teaching them solving a Rubik's Cube? Because there are classes and classes of Rubik's Cube solving for children. So I floated this idea with one of my daughter's teacher, that why don't you try teaching it to the adult? And believe me, this is true. She said that there was this anesthetist doctor. She was a grandmother who kept telling her that, please teach me. But this teacher, she kept denying that, no, auntie, I'm not used to teaching elders. I will not probably be able to. She persisted, she taught her. And during the grandchild's party, this lady, she solved the cube for the children. And it was like, wow, that, oh my God, iski dadi ne cube solve kiya. So think about it. And now, just in the last segment, even if y'all have heard this story, I'll very quickly tell this to you. So there's this executive guy, Vijay, and he goes to meet his father at an old age home. And then they're talking, and then the caretaker says, "Ke aap garden mein baitho." So they go to the garden and they're sitting on the desk and just sitting on the bench. And then the father asks that, Vijay, wo kya hai? So Vijay says, Papa, it's a sparrow. Okay. After a while again, Vijay, wo kya hai? Papa, it's a sparrow. Then the sparrow jumps. And the father asks, Vijay, wo kya jump kiya? Vijay says, Papa, sparrow. And then again, after a while, Vijay, wo kya hai? Papa, wo sparrow hai, Papa, wo sparrow hai, Papa, wo sparrow hai. He repeated almost 10 times, and then he got upset that Papa, wo sparrow hai. They were quiet because Vijay had actually yelled. Papa leaves. Papa comes back after a while and he opens a scrapbook. So there is Vijay, little Vijay, 5-year-old Vijay, sitting on Papa's shoulders, and they are in the zoo. And Papa has written, आज विजय का 5th बर्थडे था. मैं और विजय जू गए थे ताकि मम्मी उसके लिए सरप्राइज बर्थडे केक बनाए. जैसे ही अंदर गए, विजय ने देखा बंदर. उसने पूछा, पापा ये क्या है? मैंने कहा बंदर. थोड़े आगे गए तो विजय उसकी तरफ देखने लगा और हंसने लगा और पूछा, अरे क्या बताया, ये क्या है? मैंने कहा बंदर. विजय ने हाथ में एक केला लिया और उसकी तरफ फेंका. बंदर ने खाया. फिर विजय ने कहा, अरे केला खा गया तू. अरे पापा क्या बताया, क्या है? पापा ने कहा बंदर. ये बंदर है, ये बंदर है, ये बंदर है. मैंने 5 साल के विजय को ये 20 बार बताया और 21वीं बार उसे समझ में आ गया ये बंदर है. So you get the message? The child hugs the father and they cry. So this was the story that I used to tell all my caretakers during any presentation on dementia. One day, this lady got up from the audience and she raised her hand and she said, "Hi, doctor." I said, "Yeah, hi." She said, "मैं विजय की wife हूँ." I said, "Oh, wow." She said, "आपको पता है फिर आगे क्या हुआ?" I said, "क्या हुआ?" She said, "मैंने विजय को कॉल किया." And then फिर क्या हुआ? She said, "मैंने विजय को नैग किया कि आज लास्ट डे था बच्चे की स्कूल की फीस भरने का और तुम फिर भी पापा को मिलने चले गए. अब आते आते भाजी ले आओगे या मैं जाऊं लेने?" This is the point. We talk of caregivers to be compassionate, to be loving. What we are probably not considering that there is a lot already on their hands. So let's come to this very sensitive topic of caregiver fatigue, or what we in a more polite manner call compassion fatigue. So there are a lot of caregivers sitting here, senior caregivers, who deal with this, and I'm sure they're going to take it ahead. But just to brush up a few points, that what are the things you must watch out for when you need to reach out to a psychologist or a psychiatrist is, if you feel that you are isolating yourself because you feel that every time somebody will call, they will ask for some work from you. If you feel that your emotional outbursts, be it crying, be it getting angry, are increasing off lately, if you have started to develop multiple aches and pains, kabhi headache, kabhi leg ache, kabhi backache, if, very importantly, you don't sleep well, if either you have lost your appetite or you are comfort eating, or you have this guilt that I'm not a good enough child, then you must reach out for professional help. So take care of yourself first. Most importantly, your physical health Simple things like, are you eating well? Are you eating on time? Are you eating healthy? Are you eating sufficient? Are you sleeping well? I'm very glad that Dr. Huzaifa has already taken a lecture on sleep, so you very well know the importance of it. If you are on any medication, say for hypertension, thyroid, PCOS, diabetes, have you taken your medicines well on time? Are you following up with your doctor and consultations regularly? Are you grooming yourself, visiting the parlor, visiting the salon regularly? Are you doing this? Number two, vent out at intervals. If you are feeling that this is a bad day, then just call up a friend and cry. Just call up a friend and scream and shout. Say no. Say no early and say no often. Be realistic. If you are not able to do it, take help. So say no. Don't push yourself to the limit. And connect. Connect to other caregivers, because you will get n number of ideas which are not there on Google, which are not there in any academic book, but have come out of practical experience. So friends, picture तो अभी बहुत बाकी है, because we have just touched the tip of the iceberg of this entire concept of caregiving for the elderly. We have not covered about sleep. We have not covered about nutrition. There are these recent studies about Japanese population who live for 100 years and more, and they are so healthy. They are so happy. We have not spoken about them. We have not spoken about old age homes. We have not spoken about when to consider institutionalizations. We have not spoken about the various schemes that are available for the elderly. So there is lots and lots and lots to learn. But I will be happy if only through this past half an hour or 45 minutes or more, I don't have a track of time, I have been able to stimulate that interest in you, that I need to be conscious of taking care of my elder. It is scientific. It needs to be learned. So if I have been able to stimulate that interest in you, then I will be happy. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much, Dr. Zainab. That was such a fabulous presentation. May I just request you to stop screen sharing, please? Thank you so much. Dr. Zainab, as a clinician, I can tell you I learned so much. And if you think you have sparked that stimulation, here's evidence number one. And I'm sure the entire audience has woken up to so many tips, both small and big, on taking care of their loved ones, elderly loved ones, as well as taking care of themselves. Thank you, incredibly grateful. And now I invite Dr. Mita Doshi. She's one of my colleagues from Nair, a few years junior to me, and esteemed psychiatrist and psychotherapist, to share her own personal experience in caregiving, as well as discuss loneliness in the elderly. Over to you, Mita.
Okay, hi. Good evening, everybody. And congratulations for reaching 100 back. And here they go, way high. Okay. So, well, today I really enjoyed your presentation, Zainab. It was wonderful, very detailed, very and very little for me to talk. My job is great. Okay, so now basically what we talk about is, see, we are all going through this very tough time, this pandemic that we are going through, and we are facing a lot of these issues. But what I often wonder is, have you ever thought about what the elderly are going through? We don't think about ourselves. Think about their emotions state they are going, the turmoil that they are going. They are put in such a spot at this moment that we have to think that, you know what, the daily activities that they have, like maybe going for walks, or maybe going to the temple, maybe going to meet their friends, doing a lot of things on their time during the day. Now, has been totally stopped because of this pandemic. And they have absolutely gone into isolation kind of a zone where they are kind of contained in the house. So it leaves them with a lot of free time. Now, having this extra free time is you thinking so much. You have what are you doing? You need a lot, right? And thinking, and you focusing more on your physical age, which otherwise, because of this diversion, that you do something else, you stop focusing on your physical. Now,
Come closer to the mic, sweetie. Come closer to the mic. We can't hear. Sorry. Thank
okay,
you.
I'm sorry. Is this okay? Is this better? Okay. All right. So we realize that we need to make sure that because of this empty feeling that they have a lot of free time in their day. They end up focusing on the other physical ailments. Oh my God, my joint pains are too bad. My back is hurting a lot. You know, so they focus more on these physical activities.
Okay, so so I was talking about how all these elderly people, what they end up doing is now the extra free time is utilized in excessive thinking, and this excessive thinking leads to them focusing more on the physical ailments which they have. Obviously, with old age, we are expecting a lot of these physical medical issues to come up, but we are not expecting the unexpected, which is probably they have become more vulnerable, they have become more anxious, they don't know what is happening. With this corona coming in, with COVID, they don't know what COVID is all about. Even as doctors, we are still coming to terms with what COVID is all about and trying to work things through. So they are at this moment, they are in a situation where they are very fearful. Will I contract this COVID? Will I get it? What will happen to me? Will I die? This fear of this uncertainty is really killing them at times. So they want to talk about it. So the idea is that now what is happening is that they don't have their friends, they don't have their daily outings, they don't have people to talk to and to express who they need to speak to, which leaves them feeling very frustrated, very vulnerably helpless, and in a situation which totally leads to a phase where they're very lonely. Now, agree, everybody's there in the family, but everybody's so busy doing the daily tasks and the routines, what they're supposed to, like maybe work from home or whatever that they need to do, that they don't have enough time otherwise to spend with the elderly people who are there. And more so, we don't have their caretakers coming in, their nurses or their people who are they're daily taking care of them, because we are more worried that they will contract COVID. So they miss talking to someone, they miss talking to people who are not there around them. So now, like every problem has to somewhere find a solution. So what we need to do to heal this is try and spend time with them. Okay, even some time that we have and we sit there with them, it makes them feel very good, right? Now, what we need to do is allow them to vent out, because they need to talk. Everything does not need to have an on-the-spot solution or a fix-it problem. We are not sitting for that. They just sometimes just want to talk, allow them to vent out, and it relieves them. It's out, minute it's out of their system, it relieves them a lot of this burden that they are going through. So just attentively sit there, listen to them. It really helps a lot. every time you're sitting there just does not have to be a problem speaking time. It can also be a fun time, very rightly said by Dr. Zainab, that we can talk about old times, we can talk about past memories, fun memories, bring up those memorable times, and help them reconnect with all those past memories, which bring in a lot of positive emotions, make you feel a lot more nicer, brighter, happier. So it dilutes the atmosphere or the ambience that we are in. The other thing that we can do is make them feel important. What we often, very rightly, as Dr. Zainab said, we give our opinions. We are very opinionated. Instead, if we make them feel important and we ask them, okay, say probably, how would you make this? Or how does this sound to you? What is your idea on this? Or what is your opinion about it? They love to talk about it. They like to feel important. They like to feel that they are useful and they're not just accessory pieces who are a burden on the family and everyone. So it really makes them feel very positive and gives them a good self-esteem about themselves. So let's try and incorporate that, where we make them feel valuable, a kind of an asset to us, which they actually are. Another thing that we can do is, like she said, play board games with them. Have nice card games with them. Have a few singing sessions where they sing a song or we sing a song, whatever, and kind of something which kind of makes the whole atmosphere very playful, very lively, very vibrant, and very positive. The bottom line is that the minute the whole atmosphere is a positive, changed atmosphere, even our thought processes automatically move in that direction. Because otherwise, like I mentioned earlier, whether it's helplessness or whether it's vulnerability, whether it's frustration, anger, anxiety, loneliness, all of these are the negative words. And we don't want to dwell on the negative at all. Let's move on to the positive side and try to bring around some positivity in this whole pandemic. The idea is that the minute we accept, like she said very rightly, that let's accept whatever is happening to us and look at it positively, thinking that yes, it's giving us a lot of family time, it's giving us a lot of time to spend together and to do things which we've always wanted to and we've never had a chance to do it. We always used to complain earlier that I wish I had the time to do this, but we never had it. So now utilize this time very positively to do something effectively and make the whole atmosphere positive. So accept it rather than fight it. Acceptance is the key to living in this pandemic, and make all our elderly also very happy and a jovial atmosphere in the house. Your mic is off.
Thank you so much, Dr. Doshi. Pearls of wisdom, which you have so beautifully encapsulated for us in creating this atmosphere of joy and sunshine and positivity for the elderly who's living with you, for your loved one. And in the process, I think you're caring for yourself as well. Thank you so much. We will now just take a few questions, even though we're running over time. If we have a few questions, 3 to 5, we're just happy to take them. I'm just going to check the chat box if you want to put it into the chat box. I've received some also from Facebook. I'm just going to pull it up in a second. The first question is, Dr. Zainab, how would you help an elderly loved one who feels a sense of loss of dignity? Please unmute.
Yes, so dignity is very, very important. Like I said, even when I showed the slide in bathing, and when you're changing diapers, when you're changing clothes, you must maintain that. So if there is a sense of loss of dignity, we definitely need to talk more to the caretaker about how things are going on there. That's why ideally, whenever you're seeing a geriatric case, it's much better to do a home visit so that you get a good overview of how things are happening. However, if you feel that things were maintained properly and things are going on smoothly, and in spite of that, the elderly is having this feeling of there's loss of respect, loss of dignity, then you might want to think about issues like, is there any underlying depression? Also, another very important thing you need to consider is that in some of these elderly illnesses, there is this sense of paranoia and persecution that starts to develop, wherein you just feel that people are just out there to humiliate you, they are out there to harm you, or they have this kind of suspiciousness, especially on caretakers or the maids, that they are just robbing off things. And when you go home, do a home visit, or talk more to the caretaker, you find out that this doesn't quite seem to fit into the picture. Then in these cases, you might want to think on the lines of, are we looking at depression? Are we looking at paranoia? What are we looking at?
Thank you, Dr. Zainab. Dr. Doshi, this one for you, we have a question on if your elderly loved one needs a psychiatrist and are resisting it, how do you deal with that situation?
Yes, psychiatry is a very big stigma. Just the name is a very big stigma, even to common lay public. I'm not just talking about the elderly, but to all of us. You would never recommend a psychiatrist per se, if I know. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to explain to them that psychiatry is not all about only being labeled as a mad person. It is a lot to do with behavior. It's a lot to do with about how even we need to take care of them or how we need to behave with them. So it's like a common kind of a session where even they are taken care of, and even I mean, as a caregiver, they are also going to be taught as to how they are supposed to take care of the elderly. So when they are told that, they don't feel that they are being put in the limelight. So that way, both of them, they readily go to the psychiatrist, or they'll be okay to go visit them.
Thank you, Dr. Doshi. Dr. Zainab, this one for you, because you brought it up as an untouched topic. But could you quickly tell us on how, especially in India, where putting a loved one in an old aged home is filled with negativity and stigma, how we can positively approach it or deal with it?
So I will tell you what, if you're going to start this topic, then you have to give me another 1 hour. But because of I have been associated with rehabs and all, I'll tell you what. First, see, don't forget that third cog, that third wheel that I showed you, the socio-cultural context. Even today, the society views it that you put your parents in a nursing home, in a rehab center, and they would want to label you as a bad child, because that you didn't take care of your parents. In fact, if you just Google it out about emotional pictures, you'll see these pictures wherein a father is taking a son to school, and they say 20 years back, you were crying when you were taken to school, and now I am crying and you're taking me to an old age home. I mean, this is something which is really sending out wrong messages. That's why what is very important, see, I'll just tell you 2 or 3 things here, because like I said, we can discuss this for hours and hours and hours together. So the one thing in geriatric is that whenever somebody gets admitted, believe me, I spend only 10 minutes with the patient, but I spend 40 other minutes with the relatives, because the first thing that's going to happen to them after they are going to go home is the guilt, which will start going to creeping in because of the external noises and opinions that they're going to hear, plus with their own inner voice that's going to tell them that you have dumped your parent into that home because you no longer could take care of them. What about, they took so much care of you, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that the caretaker needs to realize, that he understands his or her own limitation. Maybe he's definitely doing more good by keeping the parent here, because over here there are going to be trained individuals who are going to take care. what was happening back at home was because of lack of time, lack of skills, lack of patience, the caretaker was anyways getting frustrated, and then removing it on the senior in the form of irritability. There are so many cases of elder abuse that we see, but we don't talk about. So then you need to tell the caretaker that, listen, this is a right thing that you are doing, because you're putting your parents into a zone of safety and comfort. There are going to be trained individuals who will take care of your parent. And very importantly, you need to tell them that it's not that you have just left your parent here. You are going to pay the institute the fees for taking care of your parent. You're going to be following up every day about how your parent is doing. You are going to be visiting the facility every week and spend time with your parent. And you can definitely take your parent out for breaks, a 5-day break if there's Diwali or if there's a function in the house. So this is initially you need to really talk to the relatives, because what happens is gradually they themselves start feeling the difference, that when they don't have to do what they were doing and getting frustrated about, they themselves are at peace, they are able to function well in their profession, in their own family lives. And when they come back to the parent, they are able to give them all the love, all the affection, without any amount of frustration and irritability. So it's like I said, it's a huge discussion, but this is just Dr. Mita, would you want to add anything to this?
No, I totally agree with you. In fact, they have so many more friends there because there are people who are of that age there. So they develop a whole new circle out there, and their days are so busy and occupied doing fun things that they're a lot more in a happier environment than otherwise. At home, they would be sitting alone, probably with everybody gone to work, and they are like, doing nothing. Over here, there is a lot of activity all day through. They have a lot of people around, and like you said, very rightly, trained professionals there to take care of everything. So, and the kids can give them total love, guilt-free, and feel great when they meet them.
Thank you so much. Just the last question, since you mentioned it, uh, uh, both of you all can answer. What would be a few red flags for caregiver abuse, especially, of course, right now we're all working from home, but even if we have a live-in caregiver for our loved one, what would be the red flags for caregiver abuse, especially in those battling, let's say, dementia or depression?
Dr. Mita, would you like to start?
No problem, I'll start.
Yeah.
See, number one, when we can put monitors, that's just the present way we can do that. What else we can do is when we see the patient in a very unhappy state, or we see that we don't see that our elderly people are a little more happier or a little more in a saner state, we have to start questioning ourselves. Or maybe if we see skin diaper rashes or things like that, bed sores which are not healing. Uh, there are small these little things which, if we see, are kind of still staying, and they, despite telling them every day that this needs to be done, if they are not being healed or we don't see a difference, we should immediately make inquiries as to what is happening and why they are not healing.
Thank you, Dr. Doshi. Dr. Zainab?
Yes, absolutely. And like she said, we can have, monitors placed around so that we can be watched. And very importantly, like I said, that when you hire a caregiver, usually, see, most of us have this thing, koi aur thoda saste mein mil jaye, taaki, because we are looking at a long term and we have financial considerations. But, it's sometimes that this little monetary thing that we tend into, which gets us into huge problems. So when you hire a caretaker, also spend time training the caretaker, inquire about their own families, if possible, make a visit to their house as well, so that the hygienic conditions over there. It's not, it might seem that, oh my god, how is this, but why not? I mean, you're going to leave your parent with that person for about 8 hours, 10 hours, so you need to be very, very sure of the person. So you can do these small things and take the caretaker to the doctor. Because many a times, the doctors, the psychiatrists, they get a sense looking at the caretaker also that, no, she just doesn't seem right.
Thank you so much. It was such an amazing session, Dr. Zainab, Dr. Doshi. Really, I think everyone who's watching and who will watch, it will be there on our Prana Pan India Facebook Live, as well as we'll be posting the recording on our Prana Pan India YouTube channel. I think today's session is an absolute treasure uh, for anyone taking care of the elderly, whether in their own homes or remotely. Uh, Thank you so much for all your pearls of wisdom. And I just want to leave you with my favorite inspirer, now a saint, Mother Teresa, who says, "Do all things with great love." So whether it is your elderly loved one, whether it is a prana patient struggling to recover, open your hearts, each and every one of you. Today, make this decision that you are going to go out there and make a difference and help us save more lives here at Prana. We hit this century. And one I should say yesterday. Help us hit the second century very soon. Come do your bit in this pandemic with us. Thank you so much again, Dr. Zainab, Dr. Doshi, and our lovely audience. We look forward to seeing you again next Friday around the same time, and we'll announce it to you via Facebook and Insta. Thank you so much and have a good night.